Hello, Canucks fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Canucks Conversation, brought to you by the great folks over at Montana's. We loved our time with Montana's. That has since ended, but quick shout out, Montana's. We loved working with them.
Zephyr Epic, though.
A lot of time spent with Montana's. We have the giveaway to announce, and we will.
Yeah.
But we are now presented to you by the great folks at Zephyr Epic.
Yep. Right to the top for the good folks at Z.
That's right. Use promo code hockey season, capital H, capital S, all one word. That will get you $5 off your order at Zephyr Epic. Free shipping on anything over $50 Canada-wide.
I love it when we get a mix-up with the sponsors, because you get into your groove and you're all grooving. Then we get a mix-up at the top. It makes for good audio off the top of the show watching you struggle. So that's where I'm at.
You done? Because we got a lot to get to here.
I'm good. Lots of stuff. Long weekend. There's lots to get to. But first, let's announce the winner, because we did give away a $100 gift card to Montana's. And shout out, I've seen this account on Twitter often. So congratulations to @RajNuck on Twitter. Congratulations. You were the winner of a $100 gift card to Montana's. Get over there. Get some wings. Get some other stuff too. The wings and the ribs. Drink specials, everything. Enjoy that. $100.
Drive down.
That's no joke. That's a dinner.
Is it Highway 99? What's the one that you used to take? Is that Highway 99?
Yeah, you go down there and
then you head over to Zephyr Epic from Montana's.
I've done that trip actually, doubling down on both.
Very nice. Okay.
Yeah, Tyler's asking. Let's right off quickly before we get to the hockey stuff, because we got a lot of stuff. It seems like the Schenn deal could happen at any second here. It might happen here live on the show, which would be cool for us to chat about here. But how was your long weekend? We didn't have a show yesterday on Monday. Long weekend. What'd you do?
It was great. It was fantastic.
Well,
I picked out my puppy. We just did a Patreon. I talked about it for 35 minutes. I've got it all out of my system.
Yep.
We picked our puppy. March 4th, I get him. That's when we're starting to do shows. I'll be from home exclusively then. I'll bring him on the podcast. I'll bring him on the show when I get him.
I'm excited for that. He's a cute little dog. I'll tell you that. He's a good looking little dog.
Yep. Going to be very exciting. Patreon.com/Canucks Convo. $5 and $10 tiers gets you all the bonus content. Be sure to go check it out. Okay, quickly here. Let's go. Luke Schenn. We'll get to the Arty-Party in a second, but Luke Schenn, right off the top, again, apologies to the folks on podcast, because at this point, they've probably already traded Luke Schenn for 3 first-round picks.
Damn.
Luke Schenn, this morning, Rick Dollywall of Donnie and Dolly, the team, on Czech TV, reporting that there had been no contract talks at this time between Schenn and the Canucks. Remember, Chris, about a week ago or 2 weeks ago, Schenn's agent talked about how they hadn't really decided what was going to happen yet, and that basically putting the ball in Canucks management's court. It does appear as though the Canucks are going to make that trade, as you kind of expected they would. You got to get something for Schenn. And again, we've talked about it before. Hankinson even brought up, Schenn's agent, brought up the idea of Schenn re-signing in Vancouver after a trade. With that in mind,
spends his summers in Kelowna. He's one of those Kelowna guys up there. He likes it over there. We'll see what happens.
Yep. Okay.
This could happen at any second.
And that's what I'm getting to.
Good for everyone on YouTube. Maybe not as good for people on the podcast.
Yeah, for all of you on the live show right now, Dollywall later reported minutes before the show went live here that Schenn could be sitting out for trade-related reasons. Sportsnet's Elliot Friedman chimed in and said, yes, he will. Dollywall confirming that Schenn is on a plane to Vancouver, which made people think maybe this is baby-related. Remember, folks, Schenn's wife is due, I believe, on the trade deadline day is her due date.
Tough.
So
the Canucks
with that in mind,
they want to do him right here. They got to try and make that as comfortable of a situation as it can be, because it's going to be difficult.
I got a little off track, but yes. So Dollywall reported that it's trade related. It's not baby related. But technically, if you really think about it, and this is just me speculating, this isn't a report, it's probably both. Like you just brought up the Canucks doing right by him. If he's sitting out for trade related reasons, he's probably thinking, well, you're obviously going to trade me, so let me go be with my wife right now and at least make the move as seamless as possible. Like, you know, they probably got to pack some stuff, right? They're going to have a lot on their plate. So I'm not sure, but to me, this kind of shows me something like, okay, maybe the Canucks are just trying to do right by him, because obviously something is in the works here.
Yep. Sounds like it could happen at any second. So we'll keep you posted on the Luke Schenn thing. We'll keep that going. Other stuff on the show. We're going to talk Arturs Silovs off the top. Iain MacIntyre is going to join us in about 10 minutes time here. He's down in Nashville right now with the Canucks, so we'll chat with Iain. I know he's been chomping at the bit to get on this show. He wanted on last week, but timeline didn't end up working out. So Ian's going to join us, 10 minutes time here. We'll get him on the show, as well as some odds and ends. We'll hear from Aatu Raty as well. Things aren't going great for him in the AHL quads. I'll tell you that. They are not going great for Arty Raty in Abbotsford. He's going to work his way through it, I think, though. We'll get to that later on the show. But off the top, let's do it. Turn it up. Turn it up. What time is it? It's time for an Arty-Party. Quads, Arturs Silovs picking up his first NHL win Saturday against the Philadelphia Flyers. I was in attendance in the crowd. A couple of beers. Good stuff. You were at home celebrating, cranking this rate up to the 10s. Your Arty-Party over there. Arturs Silovs getting his first win on Saturday.
Yeah.
Colin Delia is going to be in net tonight as the Canucks face off against the Predators. But let's break it down, man. 35 saves on 37 shots. Not a great team that Philadelphia has there, but I tell you what, no matter what, 37 shots in the NHL, that's something that Arturs Silovs, that was the toughest challenge of his hockey career, I'd have to say. Facing 37 shots from NHLers, and he very much passed that test in front of him, stopping 35 of those 37 shots, getting that win. I know you're excited about the kid. You like what he's been doing.
Sorry, people in the comments. I'll talk about Silovs. I know you just hyped me up. I'm sorry. I got to talk about this because this is interesting from our chat, and I want to interact with the chat. Tyler in the chat guessed, my guess is it's too late for his wife to fly, so he's getting traded to Calgary so that they can drive there. People in Calgary, we've got some listeners. Nucks for Life Boy from Calgary said, drive safe. We just got a foot of snow. And Nirav also says
Canucks fans in Calgary, there's a lot of them, so they'll be excited too.
So hopefully, we'll see what happens.
Listen, that's an absolute Schenn destination, right?
Yes.
You know, you got Sutter there as the coach. That's obviously a great connection there. He's talked about him believing that Luke Schenn should be a captain in the NHL. He really likes the guy. If Sutter's saying the word, if their head coach has any say in who they're trading for, Luke Schenn's probably near the top of what the Flames are looking for. And the Flames, they're spilling out this season, man. They've been in Mario Kart, when you hit the banana, you spin out? Yep. That's what the Flames are doing right now. It's a Mario Kart spin out here. So they need something. And I think, man, Luke Schenn is a lot for a locker room. A lot of good for a locker room.
Absolutely.
He's going to really help that team. And that team feels a little lost, right? Like this season feels a little lost for the Flames. They're not getting goaltending. They've obviously made that huge trade in the offseason, moving on from Tkachuk. Like it's been a turbulent year. And that's not even my word of the day. That's just a great use of turbulent. It's been that kind of season for the Flames up to this point. So it makes a lot of sense for that to be the destination. And with this whole flying back thing, I think our chat's on to something here. Could be Calgary. We're keeping the Twitter notifications flush. And if anybody sees in the chat, blow it up.
I'm not going to tweet this.
Yeah.
But I just got a text from someone in Calgary that just said, yeah, I'm hearing it could be Calgary. I'm not going to tweet it. It's not a report. Nobody tweet this. People are going to start tweeting it.
Yeah, here you go.
It's just someone from Calgary just saying.
Just a buddy on the street, eh?
Yeah, exactly.
My uncle's over there in Calgary. I'll ask him too.
Yeah.
What's he saying?
Yeah.
Let's
not reporting that. Nobody tweet that. Live show only.
Yeah, I know. Here's the thing. Get to your Silovs thing. I just set you up for it. 35 saves, buddy, and then win his first NHL win.
We should also mention Iain MacIntyre Sportsnet going to join us shortly here.
You haven't even. I said that already. Okay, where have you been?
Look, man,
you're texting your Uncle George in freaking Calgary is texting you. Yeah, I'm feeling like it's Calgary, and you're like, report it.
Okay, can I get to the Arty-Party, please?
Who's your source? Trust my uncle, bro.
Okay, the Arty-Party. Okay, real quick, don't play the music.
All right,
quick and dirty there with the Arty-Party music.
As it always is.
Good little, not debut, but follow-up to the debut for Arturs Silovs. And I put this in the instant reaction, but folks, where is how could the Canucks do this to Arturs Silovs crowd now?
There we go. Yep,
holy cow. I have never seen the amount of outrage that I saw over, they're going to do him just like DiPietro. This is gonna harm him horribly. Okay. The thing that really hurt Mikey DiPietro, I admit, playing at 19 years old out of the CHL on an emergency basis, that wasn't great. That wasn't great for him. Obviously not. But you know what affected him a lot more? Not playing for a year on the taxi squad.
Bingo.
And Arturs Silovs was loaned to the Manitoba Moose that season and played one game. That affected him more. If you're worried about Silovs' development, go look at that year. don't look at them, giving him an NHL debut after he lights the AHL on fire over his last 5 games, .956 save percentage, as we point out every time we bring him up.
Yep.
A couple shutouts in there as well for Silovs. Look, the rewarding good play, makes his debut against the Rangers. He said himself that he felt more confident in the Flyers game after playing in the Rangers game, as you may have assumed would be the case. So again, like with Arty, I got not much else to say, Chris. It was an Arty-Party. The thing that I've seen from him that I really like, because people like to point out all the flaws and everything. The thing with Silovs, and the thing that I've liked since his draft year, is just that he shows promise, right?
Oh,
like
yeah.
In his draft year, the way he's able to move when he's locked in low and wide, that shows a lot of promise. That's like a lot of raw talent that a lot of goaltenders just can't do. Like that's athleticism that a lot of goaltenders don't have. The way he seals off the bottom of the net, is able to move around, keep his legs flush to the ice.
I want to get to that. And by the way, good comment here from Nucks for Life. Boy, this is real valuable experience for Silovs. No pressure. That's bang on. And here's the thing that I was really impressed with. And I've been, how long have I been saying this? The kid is extremely athletic. Okay. He is a great maker of saves. He's not a tremendous goaltender just yet, but he can make save. I am so impressed when he is going from side to side in the crease and really having to sprawl out, do the splits, all that stuff. Like that part of his game, I do not worry about. Him just being athletic enough to be in the NHL, no worries about that. It's about tightening up those things, and that's kind of the main thing that I want to see improve over the next little bit of a year here. Before I think he's actually going to be like a regular in the NHL, is can he work on tightening up and just being able to be ready for NHL shots, not be beat under the arm, not be beat above the glove, those type of little things like that. If he can work on some of those technical sides of goaltending, he's got all the other parts figured out. Like he does at 21, he has got great flexibility, great willingness to attack shooters. He's got a lot of things going for him right now. Just needs to tighten up those mechanical things, and I really think you're looking at something here.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like you pointed out, and I keep saying again, I'm working on it, folks.
I know you're. Well, it feels like you're getting worse at it now that you bring it up.
Well, I've said it a few times today already. I am working on it. But when I say it, it's because I've said this in the past before. Right. Regular listeners of the show know I've talked about Arturs Silovs a lot. I feel like a lot of people are aware of that now. But with Silovs, yeah, I just want to mention it again. Like the promise that he shows follows him at every step of his development, right? Okay. Like the work ethic is really, really great with this kid.
He gets it, man. I think he gets it. He gets this program that Ian Clark wants for him. Yeah, like he does get it. It's not just the NHL stuff. He gets it. Okay. He gets what he's supposed to do in the AHL. He is bought into the Ian Clark system. And I tell you, you couldn't ask for anything else from a goaltender. He's bought in.
Absolutely. There's no denying that. Right. And the thing is with Silovs, I threw this out on Canucks Talk with Drance, and we're going to get to
let me get to this. I will set you up for this. You give a genuflect to this kid because you think he should be starting games with Demko this year. Did I hear that right?
Why is that a hot take?
I don't know. I don't like that.
Can someone critically think for more than 2 seconds before they start criticizing this take?
No, here's what I'm like.
I'm not trying to pick on you.
No, I've heard. I listened to your hit. I listened to it and I said I don't know about that. There is so much more valuable time for him in the AHL and room to grow in the AHL than he is at the NHL level this season. Anyways, he's still so far ahead. You don't want him in the NHL getting lambasted every game. Like I don't want shots blowing up all over him in the NHL. I want to see him in the AHL, having some games where he does only allow a goal or two and plays a good game in front of this team in the AHL, gets on a little bit of a roll. Because here's the thing that's going to happen in the NHL. He's not going to have the opportunity to really get on a roll.
Absolutely, he is. My take is that you should not be putting Demko in a starter's role. You should be running these guys in a one. They should be splitting starts for the rest of the year. Man. Demko went to practice, is shaking out his leg after facing a shot. What value do you have in starting Demko more than is absolutely necessary for him to gain his confidence back ahead of next year?
If he's down in the AHL, he's playing back-to-back
I'm not
nights.
Talking
he's
about
playing
Silovs.
4 games a week. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I don't have any problem with Demko not being like the main starter. I don't think Demko should play more than half the rest of the games.
I think Silovs, my opinion,
I think you can rotate him in.
Silovs is gaining more value by starting games at the NHL level. If he does that down the stretch here in a 1A, 1B, and he's with that Demko,
it's too much, man.
No, it's not. You're talking about, let's get him to play back-to-back games. Let's get him all these games in the AHL. That's not too much, but starting in the NHL, he showed he's fine. Against Philadelphia, he was fine. He's more than capable. He's not nervous. The thing is everybody's putting all this on him, saying, "Oh, this is going to ruin his development. This is going to shake his confidence." You ask him, you were the one that talked to him about it.
Yep.
He doesn't give a crap. He's learning a lot at the NHL level. That's all we've heard from him. Is he's learning a lot.
Sure, he's learning a lot, but that's, this is the time that we're at right now where he's getting these chances, having a lot of success. It's not going to be like that the full season. There's going to be some downtime in the NHL.
How many games do you think are left in the season?
What is it, 20-something-ish?
Yeah, so if he picks up 10 more starts, you think that's bad? He'll still be eligible to be a rookie.
I don't know. I don't like that thought. I like the idea of rotating him in when you get a chance and there's a spot on the schedule you can pick it, because you can do that now with Abbotsford. Yeah. But he should be focused on being a starter in the AHL. Being a starter and getting that low.
So I should say,
and I would be fine. Like if the AHL team only plays on like a week, because this is going to happen. The schedule slows down in the AHL in the next couple months. They play just weekends sometimes. They won't be playing on the Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday like we've seen this week. That's when you get him in. You get him into a midweek game at home when Abbotsford's at home and Vancouver's at home, but you don't put him on the team and just let him back out the rest of the year, because he's not going to get he's not going to get as many minutes. And I really think right now that's the most important thing. Get him as many minutes. If he's down in the AHL and he's starting 20 of the last 20 games, like 20 of the last 25 games in the AHL, if he's starting that many games, oh man, like that's when you're really talking about him finding a groove. And he's talked about that to me out in the AHL too. When I'm out in Abbotsford, he's mentioned like when he's in his groove and he's not making big changes, when he's just doing small changes because he's in a groove, that's when he's making the most development. And you're seeing that in the AHL. When he's cruising and starting and playing and only tweaking little things with his goalie coach, that's when he's at his best. That's what I think you need to finish the season with.
I think you need to finish this season with him splitting starts, and then next season you need to get him to the AHL. And there is when he's going to be starting a lot of games next season. And then the season after that, I see no reason why Arturs Silovs isn't ready to be at least, where Thatcher Demko was in that first year when he had Braden Holtby with him. I see no reason for that. But we come back to it. Is IMAC ready? I don't want to delay him and make him listen to this.
Still waiting on IMAC.
Okay, good. Okay, so quickly, you don't want to put him in a position where he goes back down to the AHL and then he plays all of the AHL next year. Like, getting NHL games is very valuable for a goaltender. And he's the one that's saying this. Like, I'm not just making this up. This is him saying it. And I think if you ask him what he'd like to do, I would say that he probably wants to play some NHL games down the stretch run here. Yeah. I don't know the Canucks plan. I haven't talked to Arturs about this. I haven't talked to anybody in the organization about this. This is just me giving my take. I think there's a lot of value in this guy playing out the season at the NHL level. And then eventually next season, or hell, even late this season when Abbotsford goes to the playoffs, you send him down to the AHL. There's no harm in this.
It's a different thing though, man. With goalies, you got to keep them in a groove a little bit though. That's what I'm saying. So he's playing
NHL games in my scenario. If they're going to play Demko and let Silovs play once every 2 or 3 weeks, then send him down, because I don't think that's valuable.
That's what I'm saying. Okay,
but
then we're on the
same page. He needs to split starts.
I still think that's split starts.
I think you're resting Demko, which is good for Demko.
I think you can find him 3 to 5 more starts, and that would be fine. 3 to 5 more starts, because you've seen enough in the 2 games thinking, okay, the development's going well. Let's keep kind of doing this development. Let's not force him in here yet.
I agree with you. Where are you getting 3 to 5 starts? Demko's on this trip. Demko's coming back.
That's what I'm saying. You got a lot of home games rest to finish off the season here. You got some very weak teams coming in here. Like, pick your spots. With your AHL team being this close, there's going to be 3-week stretches where they're just down the road in Abbotsford. You're going to find some home games in that time.
You're going to have to put Delia on waivers, though, is my point.
Okay, well, do it then. Or you can roll with 3 goaltenders. If you're doing a one-day swap, it's not going to be difficult, I don't think.
Do we have Ian yet? Someone should text Ian.
You probably should. I got my phone's going down there. I think
ahead.
We got Ian coming up here in a second. We may even have him on. If you got him, bring him on, Alex. I don't even know what's going on here. Look at that. He's probably been here for 10 minutes. I've been messaging producer Alex for minutes here.
Sorry, Ian. How long have you been waiting?
Enough to hear your argument on minor league goaltending, which was a good discussion. I love to see the podcast. It feels like this is a front row seat when you're actually on hold, because I can see my picture. I kind of feel like I'm invested in the conversation, even though you didn't know I was there. So good entertainment.
Well, Ian, how do you see it? How do you see it playing out? Because we've given our opinion on it. Let's get the real reporter in here and tell us how this is actually going to play out here, Ian, with the situation with Arturs Silovs.
Yeah. Well, I actually asked Rick Tocchet that this morning, and he wasn't totally committal, but their hope is still that Thatcher Demko, who's on the trip, did extra work today. So he's very close to playing. Of course, we thought that last week. We still haven't seen him on the bench for a game yet. But I think when he comes back, Delia will stay. Silovs will go back. Silovs will play a lot, just like he had before. I think when they brought Arturs up, the intention was partly to reward him for what's been an extraordinary season for him, developmentally and result-wise. Partly to hope to get a save at the NHL level, because they weren't getting enough from either Delia or Martin. But I think a huge part of it was to give Silovs, who's turned himself into a legit goaltending prospect for this organization, give him a chance to see what he's up against at the next level. Very similar to what they did with Thatcher Demko at the end of his last full year in the minors, where they gave him one game in garbage time at the end of the season, just so he could see what he needed to do to get ready for the next level. I don't think their intention was to keep Silovs here and make him the starter. And the fact that Delia is going to play tonight after Silovs was so good on Saturday, there's been 2 days between games. I don't think Silovs is here to take over the workload. It's been a great experience for him. I think what they'd like to do is get Thatcher Demko back, have Delia as the backup, and see how that looks for a while.
What have you thought of Arturs Silovs through these 2 starts?
Well, the first start, he gives up 5. I think it was on 29 shots, something like that. So initially you think, okay, maybe in a little over his head. Wasn't a great game. But when you went back and broke down the goals, and there was a couple of basically back post, either tap-ins or semi-open nets because the Canucks defended so poorly, and then a couple other goals that deflected in him off teammates, it really wasn't a bad game. He certainly wasn't responsible for that loss on Saturday. But it was really impressive that when he got a second chance, he just looked like a different goalie as well. He looked so composed. He looked very capable. He obviously is calm, and Fabes, I know that you cover the minor league team as much as anybody, so it wouldn't be a surprise to you, but it was a surprise to me when Ryan Johnson told me the story of giving him the phone call that you're coming up, and some guys just start screaming. They're so excited. And he said Silovs was like, okay, sounds good, thanks, because this is how he is. This is his personality. I was really happy that I talked to Phil DiGiuseppe about him on Saturday, because DiGiuseppe, who of course knows him well from their time in Abbotsford, said it's pretty amazing the development that he's seen in Silovs in the last 18 months, from where he was when he first kind of got to the organization to where he is now. And he says the fact that he's only 21, he's done that, makes you wonder about how much farther he can go. So it's been everything positive about Silovs, and credit to him, a 6th-round draft pick out of Latvia, who got in one game, I think his first pro season, his second pro season, he spent half of it in the ECHL. This is remarkable what he's been able to do.
Okay, Luke Schenn, topic of the day. By the time our podcast listeners listen to this, deal might already be done. I want to talk to you about Schenn because you were writing a story, and I haven't talked to you off air about if you're going to have to rewrite it or what's going to happen. But you talked to Luke Schenn about, all the trade speculation and all that. What did he have to say?
Well, I didn't talk to Luke Schenn today. I have talked to him in the past, several times about it. And, he's made it very clear. This is, with Luke Schenn, what you see is what you get. And you can see it on the ice with the way he plays, the passion he plays with, the heart he has as a player, and what he does for teammates and his team. And he's pretty much the same way off the ice. This is a guy that, came to Vancouver hoping to finish his career here, even though it's a 2-year deal. But he also understands, probably better than almost anybody on this team, because of what he's been through, being dumped in the minors a couple of years ago by Anaheim, and basically thinking that his career might be over. He understands this is very much a business, and that if the Canucks get a good offer, and the fact that Schenn reportedly will be sitting out tonight here in Nashville, they must be very close to a deal. They're not just going to sit him out from now until the trade deadline. So the Canucks obviously have something cooking, and Schenn knows that the team where it is in its development, new management, it probably has to look seriously at whatever good deal they can make for him, whatever asset they can get. but it's not a trade that he's looking forward to. You know, he's won a couple of cups with Tampa. It's not like he doesn't have 8 more fingers for more cup rings, but that's not the singular driving force. He really does want to help this organization, and he wants to be here. And I have asked him about, you know, the old trade and re-sign, which everybody loves to float as a possibility. And he says himself, you know, when has it happened? It just doesn't happen very much. But I wouldn't say that it couldn't happen in this case if he is traded, because Luke Schenn really does want to finish his career with the Canucks and be part of the solution.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a question in here that I'd love to hear your answer to, from Tyler, asking if Schenn doesn't come back this offseason and he is traded, what's been your favorite moment with him and just overall in general, Iain, like dealing with him as a person? We talk about it a lot that he's just tremendous for a locker room, but what is the team getting here with Luke Schenn, and what's been one of your favorite memories of dealing with him?
Well, my favorite thing about Luke Schenn is just his redemption story. And when you cover him a bit and you talk to him a bit, you get to know that this is really a good guy. And so you're happy for his redemption, that he's not only got back out of the minors to continue his NHL career, but is now you know, a valuable commodity as a depth defenseman, as the kind of guy that most teams would like. And that's a wonderful story. And even going back to, you know, that season when he came out of the minors, he got rescued by the Canucks, and his brother Braden won the Stanley Cup, but Luke Schenn wouldn't touch the Stanley Cup. He drank out of it out of a straw when Braden Schenn had his day with the Stanley Cup, because Luke didn't want to jinx anything. And what happens? Gets signed by Tampa and wins 2 cups. So big picture, he's an amazing story. But I do remember a couple little anecdotes from this season. I don't know which road game it was, but I saw him walking down the hallway, and he had an ice pack on each knee and 1 ice pack on an arm. I forget which arm didn't have one. And I said something like, "Oh, you're missing one." And he says, "Yeah, I didn't play hard enough." Because when he plays hard enough, he's got ice packs everywhere. And the other thing, the game, in which game was it where he fought? It was against Seattle, the terrible game the Canucks had in Seattle. And he ended up fighting Oleksiak, who's like 260 pounds. And that was a heavyweight bout. And Luke Schenn, I think it was 2-0 when Luke Schenn did that. And, you know, he's sitting in the penalty box bleeding, and he's hearing the goal horn go off. And so he said to me, "I guess it didn't work," you know, and just sort of a deadpan humor of a guy who's been around. But that's what he's willing to do for his team, to get bloodied and start a fight with the other team's heavyweight, because, you know, that might have got the Canucks going that night. It didn't, but it's indicative that Luke Schenn is willing to do whatever he has to help a team win. And that's why other teams have been calling the Canucks about him.
So we'll wrap up on Elias Pettersson here, Iain. Just how he's playing right now, 7th in the NHL for points, 71 points in 54 games, 27 of them goals, on pace right now for 100 points this season. How much better is he this year than any other year we've seen from Elias Pettersson? Like, what is the actual level that he's stepped up to this season?
Well, we kind of saw it in the second half of last season, at least offensively, but I think he's a more complete player this year. You know, I haven't written about it. I know he spent a lot of time on his strength and his posture and his stride, just to be stronger on his skates. And, you know, that helps in a variety of reasons on the ice. But we've seen him be a better defensive player than he was, and yet still maintain scoring at an elite level. I think it's, if you go back 13 calendar months, so from the time he started to turn it around under Bruce Boudreau last season after a terrible first half, he's got like 120 points. He's got, I believe, more even strength, more 5-on-5 points than any forward in the league this season, and has just turned into an elite player. And now what we've seen since Rick Tocchet has taken over, he's really turning into more of a leader, more of a vocal component to this team. He's such a quiet guy by nature. It doesn't come naturally to him, but he's willing to kind of get out of his comfort zone and take on that role as well. And to me, that's a fascinating development that we're seeing and we get to continue to see between now and the end of the season, because this, like, it's a fundamental change from what was here in the past. And that's not in any ways a knock against Bo Horvat. But when you trade your captain and you name, as Tocchet did, a 24-year-old in Pettersson, a 23-year-old in Quinn Hughes as alternate captains, and kind of anoint them and say that they're ready, as Patrick Allvin said, to lead this team, that's a seismic shift in where you're going as an organization. And he has taken that on and yet not shown any signs of it affecting what he's trying to do on the ice. So it's been an incredibly positive thing for the Canucks. Now all they have to do is re-sign him.
So everybody, I'm sure, is in the camp of he's a top 10 center in the NHL. Where are you at with the conversation of him being top 5? Because we look at this, the top of the leaderboard for points, and he's there for centers. We see the defensive game improving. Where are you at with that conversation about him being a top 5 center in the league?
Well, I think he might be a top 10 player in the league, and top 5 center. I'd actually have to go down and look at the list, because I haven't looked at it that way. I have looked at where he ranks. Certainly he's a top 10 forward, and he may be a top 10 player, but there are some great young defensemen. This is a golden age for defensemen in the league right now. All the young guys who are in the league. So when you add them in, the goaltending, interesting. The goaltending's not as dominant as it once was. You wouldn't see as many goaltenders, say, in the top 20 in the league, but Pettersson's an elite player, and he's going to have to be paid that way on his next contract. If the deal starts with a 10, that it might be lucky that it's only 10 and not 11 and not 12. That's the kind of player that he is.
Ian, you're down there in Nashville. I'll be there for the draft. Do some scouting for me tonight, okay? Find me a spot that I can go to when I'm down there.
I've been coming to Nashville since the Predators were born, so I've already got a couple of spots I can tell you about. I was going to do this hit outside to try to soak up some of the Nashville atmosphere, because where I'm staying at near 3rd and Broadway, it's basically Country Music Row. And even at, what time is it here? 3:30 in the afternoon on a weekday, the bars have all got their sliding doors / windows open, and there's country music spilling out from everywhere. But I did actually listen to it. I thought it might be a little too loud. So you've only got my hotel room, but Fabes, I'll keep you well informed. I'll give you a full and thorough scouting report of where you need to be.
Sounds good. Let's do it at the rink so we can have it off the record. We don't want to get you in trouble.
That's a very good idea. Very good idea.
Absolutely. Ian, appreciate
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Absolutely. There he is. Iain MacIntyre down in Nashville, getting ready for the Canucks and Preds tonight.
All of our guests, as we mentioned, brought to you by the great folks over at Zephyr Epic. They've got a retail location in Surrey, but be sure to check them out online as Chris opens a pack live on the show. Online at zephyrepic.com, ZEPHYR Epic on all platforms. All platforms. Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, what have you. Go check it out. It does not look like my co-host has pulled anything. He's pulling those cards. What's that shiny one you got in your hand there? Get your mic.
I'm getting it. This is I opened up the Metal Universe 2021-22. I got a Pitter Patter card.
Fantastic.
Pitter Patter from
That's nice.
Curtis McDermott.
Little plaid.
Quite the interesting card there for sure.
Yes. Okay. A lot of people here in the chat, new listeners in the chat. I'm not sure if you've taken a look at
Zephyr Epic.
I think Bagged Milk might have sent them from Oilers Nation. A lot of people speculating that Luke Schenn is going to Calgary. Obviously, nothing confirmed yet.
Let's talk about it then. What's a good return here?
No, well, hang on a second.
Quickly.
Like a second or third round pick is the return. This is the thought I had as we were talking and as my uncle was texting me. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
But with the Calgary Flames, right? There's all this talk of Lucic. Could you get out of the Besser contract by taking back like Lucic in a third if you're giving up Schenn and Besser? I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
We would hear something about Besser. Same agent as
that's a good point.
We would know something's going on.
That's a good point. But Schenn's a different
Here's an
situation.
interesting one for you. Calgary, no third round pick this year. Are you seeing a second? Or are you going to next year? What are you working out here? Because I do think there's different value from a pick in this year's draft to a pick down the road.
I mean,
if you're going with next year's draft, you get higher value. So do you get a second next year? Is that something like that to me is like great. Okay. You get a 2024 second, great. That's fine with me. That is a good return for him if you get that. If it's a third or a fourth, it's like, okay, still for me. I'm still fine with that.
You still have to move on from the asset. Like, you can't let the asset not,
exactly.
Like, if the extension wasn't going to make sense for you, and again, the Canucks might re-sign him in the offseason. That's still a possibility. His agent threw out there. IMAC obviously talked a bit about that. Our thanks again to Iain MacIntyre for joining us. But I don't know. Like, I think you have to get out of it. It's similar to Mott. Like, we were hoping for a second for Mott, and we ended up seeing the Canucks trade him for a 4th-round pick to the Rangers.
Oilers folks are in here. They're saying Puljujarvi in a second. Sign me up, man.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that would be...
And that's a team that hasn't really been talked about a lot with Luke Schenn being a destination here. I've heard the Oilers Nation folks, they're talking about it, right? Like, Luke Schenn would be an option for them. Oh, here we go. Yeah, the Oilers Nation top. No, we're talking about Calgary, and maybe that's why he's flying back. It's for trade reasons, as Rick Dollywell said. Is it because he's driving with his pregnant wife? Could be. I mean, you could drive to Edmonton. You could drive to Calgary. Edmonton's right there too. 20 hours here from right here in Vancouver. 20-hour drive quads. You ever done it? Nope.
Never done it.
I drove to Grand Prairie from Nanaimo.
Okay.
26 hours probably.
Okay. So we're not quite sure just yet. We do know it's trade related. People in the chat are asking if it's confirmed. Canucks, of course, didn't confirm that it's for trade related reasons. They tweeted out after every reporter's picked up on it that, yeah, he's out of the lineup tonight. But of course, they didn't say it was for trade related reasons, despite, Arizona doing it with Jacob Chychrun, Columbus doing it with Vladislav Gavrikov as well. Those guys are indefinite too. Like, the teams came out and said, those guys are scratched indefinitely. Canucks just saying that he's out. Not saying it's for trade related reasons, but we are telling you it is for trade related reasons. Dollywell confirmed it. People know it now. We've been told.
Active people in the chat here. They're looking for the deal. Don't want Lucic, Lisa says. So yeah, that would be interesting to see how the money might work on that situation. But let's wrap it up. We got some odds and ends here to kind of get to, as well as our Betway as well later on here in the show. So we'll keep an eye on it. And like you said, people listening to the podcast, we apologize. This is a difficult one to deal with, especially with the trade, potentially happening at any minute. Would be great if it happened for us live here on the show. But for now, hopefully people enjoy the podcast. I got some good stuff for the podcast here coming up here. Let's get to the odds and ends. I want to start with Aatu Raty. Okay. Difficult start for him in Abbotsford. No lie, right? We've seen that so far. Only 1 assist so far through his 8 games. It's a difficult spot. Listen, 20-year-old kid, just came over here to North America this year to start the season. Played pretty well with Bridgeport. Wasn't, tearing up the AHL, but he was playing well. A lot better than I think he's been so far in Abbotsford. He's going through an adjustment period. This is going to be tough for him coming to a new organization. Listen, there's no other Finnish folk here down there in Abbotsford. There's not really someone he can kind of bond with right off the bat. Nobody he knows in the organization. He's just come here, and they haven't had a lot of practice time out there. Okay, he was very highly praising the Sedins, and he had 1 practice with the Sedins up to this point. He's playing games. They're on the road. Like, there's a lot going on for this kid. So the 1 point in 8 games, I'm not too worried about it. And he was honest. We have the audio. We'll play it here in just a second. The audio of Aatu Raty talking about, I've been playing horrible, is what he said. We'll hear it from him. And I tell you, this situation, you can hear it in his voice. It's hitting him. So here's Aatu Raty talking about his first 8 games in Abbotsford so far.
Well, not great so far. I've been playing horrible, but yeah, it's gonna hope it gets better. I mean, I know I'm trying my best every game and trying to work hard, but I don't know.
Is it tough, like, adjusting to a new city and just kind of like a whirlwind? It's got to be tough, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And again, like,
you can hear it in his voice, man.
I said again, but yeah, he didn't want to talk about it. Like, and
no excuses, at least.
No,
he didn't want to give excuses.
No excuses, but it is really tough to go to a new city like this. And again, darn it. Seriously though, we've seen players in the past, right? Like, their living situations aren't fantastic a lot of times, especially when they come to a new organization.
20-year-old kid just got here to North America.
Silovs was living, I think, in the Best Western, or I don't know where.
He was at Castle Fun Park.
Yeah, he was at Castle Fun Park. That's right.
Carol Classic.
That's right. And
then it flooded while they were there.
It did. Well, that's a really bad living situation. But
that's what I'm saying.
In all seriousness, like, we've heard these guys, and Silovs especially, like, Silovs' wife was still in Latvia. He didn't come out. He was alone, and he they asked him at Christmas time, what's your favorite movie? He said, I like watching Home Alone because it reminds me of how I'm alone.
Oh,
like that was what he said.
That hit you right in the feels, didn't it?
I was like, do you want me to come over? We could play video games.
All right,
in all seriousness.
Moving on here.
Yeah.
Here's the thing with Aatu. They got him in a good spot. Okay. It's just going to take some time, I think. And listen, Canucks fans get so lucky, I think, with a lot of these young players coming right in and having immediate success. That happens a lot in today's day and age of the NHL. Like, these young players are extremely prepared for what they're getting to at the next level. They spend all their time for this, right? And I'm not saying Aatu doesn't. It's just sometimes there's a little bit of a difficult period. And it feels like that's what he's going with out there right now. And they have all the pieces in place. It's just I don't think those pieces have been accessed yet, right? Like, he hasn't spent a lot of time with the coaching staff in practice. He hasn't been able to spend a lot of time with the Sedins during a practice. They're going to get to work on this kid. Okay, that quote from him yesterday, I hope the organization's looking at that and saying, okay, we got to step up here, right? Like, we got to step up for this kid, get him going, give him the support he needs. He's a 20-year-old. He's been in North America for what, 6 months, right? After living his whole life in Finland. Like, get this kid some support out there. And I think that it's on the organization now to step in and do something, and I'm not saying they're not doing a great job. It's been a difficult spot with the team on the road, not again time. But when you hear this, like, this is where you step up. This is where the development, it's not all about hockey, right? With the development team. This is why Curtis Sanford was so good. You like, how often did you hear from Arturs Silovs, Mikey DiPietro talking about Curtis Sanford being so good for the development of those goalies with how he was with the away from hockey stuff? DiPietro talked about that all the time.
Yep.
How just like bouncing things, that you might be struggling with mentally, being able to bounce that off of Sanford. They got a good thing. He's Toronto's guy now. Toronto's a goalie coach.
NHL goalie coach.
Yeah, and I mean, he's, that's the type of example. I'm wondering how, the Sedins step in here to help Aatu. Like Aatu said, he was very excited to learn from these guys, right? He wanted to, because he kind of joked like they were slow, he's slow, like they would be able to work the give and go thing and be able to get there. So we'll see what happens. Corey says he hasn't exactly gotten a lot of time with good players this year either. I think you're talking about Aatu, and you're right. I like the line that he was on yesterday. He was with Niels Höglander on his left wing, Will Lockwood on his right wing.
He's
so
not talking about that.
Here.
The chat is arguing about Besser. We've got some oily boys in the chat. Okay. Anyways, any other odds and ends here? Elias Pettersson, 300th NHL game tonight.
Good stuff. Here's the other one. Danila Klimovich. I said it last week. They got to get into this kid's head again. Yeah, another little, emotions getting the best of him in the last game again. Takes a cross-checking penalty. He's got 7 minor penalties in his last 7 games.
Ooh, that's
you got to clean that up. You're
Those
not
are Tyler Myers.
You're going
numbers.
to be back. He might be back on the healthy scratch market here pretty soon. Don't be surprised when you see a tweet from me pretty soon here this week. Healthy scratch for Danila Klimovich would not surprise me. He's got to get that out of his game. You can't be taking a minor penalty every game for letting the emotions get the best of you. It's when he is like emotionally engaged and it's in the right time, man, it really helps him. But it can hurt him as well. And I think that's what we've seen a little bit here. It's just when a player pushes him, he doesn't just accept it, right? Which is a good thing to a certain degree. He's just got to learn how to maybe get away with it. But like his cross checks, his slashes, they're blatant, man. They're getting called for minor penalties. And it's like, if you can do it the right way, heck, like think about how Connor Garland is, right? Listen, he doesn't throw huge hits or get involved that much, but watch how much he smashes, like just gives the right stick poke in the right areas. Like if Klimovich can get that going, then he can still use the physical side, but make it like legal hits.
Connor Garland is Danila Klimovich's worst nightmare.
Bingo.
Like
they would hit.
They would not get along. And Klimovich would be the one taking all the penalties.
Here's my thought. Sergei Gonchar. Send him out to Abbotsford for a little bit. Get him in there.
He's on the bench though.
Sure. No, but he's not on the bench every game for the Canucks, right? Sure. And he's not on the ice for every practice. Hey, send Sergei Gonchar out there for Klimovich. Just let him spend a little time. Just do some talking, figure things out. I like that. Okay.
Betway, quickly, let's go.
Yeah, Betway. We got Canucks and Preds tonight. We got some bets for this one. Either or are our go-tos, and that's what we're rocking with tonight. JT Miller or Andrei Kuzmenko to score a goal in tonight's game, -150. $10 bet. That's going to return you
1666.
1666. I know I got to get those out of here. You said the mark of the beast.
No, I didn't tell you
Mark
that.
of the beast.
I don't know where you got that from.
Something like that. So JT Miller or Andrei Kuzmenko to score a goal, either or in this spot, -150. $10 bet. That's going to return you
180.
No, 1666.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were going to the next one. Hurry up. Let's go.
And then the big one. I tell you what, though. $10 bet, Quads, is going to return you 180 if this one hits. How possible does this sound, Quads? Canucks to win over 6.5 total goals between the two teams, and Elias Pettersson to score 2 or more goals. Could happen. $10 bet, 180. What do you do with that 180? Well, if you're Raj Nuck, you're going to Montana's, and you can have a couple of nights. A few nights at Montana's probably at that point. Chasing the juice. Yeah, bet it. Does it? I tell you what, though. Plus 1,700. I like the odds on, like, this is a thing that could very much happen. Pettersson's been good, man.
All right, 19
and this
plus.
national team not playing great hockey of late. 2-4 in their last 6. They are out of a playoff spot. What's happening?
19 plus play. If you choose
Figure
to
it
play,
out.
please play responsibly.
Canucks
We
aren't
got to
much
get out of
better
here.
either, though.
We got to get out of here. I don't have to mute your mic, Chris.
No, not
but
today.
we'll wrap it up there. For my co-host, Chris Faber, and our technical producer, Alex Lard, our thanks again to Iain MacIntyre of Sportsnet for joining us. My name is David Quadrelli. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Canucks Conversation.
Yeah, Ian, find me a spot in Nashville. Let's go. Where are we going?
Thanks for listening to Canucks Conversation. Hit the subscribe button to never miss an episode.